Forum for Autism is a parent support group to support families of children with autism. It was set up in the year 2002 under the Indian Trust Act 1950. Forum for Autism mainly aims at creating awareness about autism, empowering parents to advocate for rights of persons with autism. Forum for Autism is a parent body which runs two libraries in Kolaba and in Vashi with around 500 books. It also conducts parent training workshops, seminars, and talks. It has a database of parents and professionals and provides sponsorship to unaffording families. Forum for Autism participates in various activities. To name a few are Mumbai Marathon, conducted workshops for parents with young adults, celebration of World Disability Day at Malad Basti, and self-help skill workshop. Since the lockdown, Forum for Autism is continuing its work online. It has been conducting webinars on various topics like preparing to choose the boards, homeschooling, storytelling sessions, setting up residential setup, to name a few. All the parents who are interested can check those webinars on YouTube. Chef Sanjeev Kapoor and commentator Harsha Bhogle are the cause ambassadors for Forum for Autism. Throughout the lockdown, FFA, that is Forum for Autism, along with ASK, that is Adult Support Kendra, is offering online individual counseling, family counseling, parent support, apart from various other services. To know more about these services, please contact Nicole Kapadia and Suhasini Sundaresan on the numbers mentioned. Join our journey. Be an active part of Forum for Autism. To know more, please call on the phone numbers on your screens. Thank you for your overwhelming response to our webinars. Forum for Autism requests you to donate generously so it helps in our future endeavors. All the donations are eligible for the tax exemption. Please follow us on social media for updates on workshops organized by Forum for Autism. Please follow our Facebook page, Forum for Autism. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our website www.forumforautism.org.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our webinar. And today, today we are having a conversation with our young adults who are self-advocates and who are real achievers in their own fields. And joining me today is Babita Raja, who will also be questioning the advocates. Hi, Babita.
Hi, Vahbiz.
A warm welcome. And our advocates today are Nehal Tiwari. Hi, Nehal.
Hi.
Jatin Patil. Hi, Jatin.
Hi. Hello.
Jai Hopf Patni. Hello, Jatin.
Hello.
Hi, Jai. And Viraj Bhat. Hi, Viraj. Over to you, Babita.
A very warm welcome from me too, to all of you here who have logged in, and especially to our panelists. Nehal and Jatin, can we have your cameras on so everybody can see you? And thank you, guys. And Jatin, a very happy birthday from all of us to you. It's a wonderful time to have you here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, and see, this is, I mean, Vahbiz, like when you and I started off, in our journeys with autism. I mean, like we had nobody to, give us a
Guide
first
us.
person account of what
Right.
autism felt like, of what
Yes.
of how they understood the world and how they interpreted it and how
Correct.
they reacted to it. And we were all dependent on, the Western sources that we had at that time. And of course, like this was like the pre-internet times, and we had very little access to, like, what people with autism actually felt and how they perceived the world. And over the years we've had a lot of the Western advocates that we've been listening to and hearing about and reading about their work, and it gives us immense joy to have four of you all here who can share with us your feelings and your thoughts today with us. And this has been such a journey. I mean, we have seen most of you, as toddlers and growing up into wonderful young men and women who are accomplishing wonderful things in your own chosen fields. So we are so very proud of all of you here today, as we are of all the self-advocates who are not here on the screen today, but who are making their own marks in the world. Isn't it, Vahbiz? I mean, it is
Yes.
so inspiring to see all of you,
Yes.
to hear
Indeed.
you all.
I have seen Nehal from the time she was a little kid going to the
Exactly,
kindergarten with
exactly.
my son, and now today she's working. Yes, it
And-
gives me great pleasure. I've heard Viraj also for a long
Hey.
time, and today he's married and settled in life. Jatin also I have been following. Of course, I'm new to hearing Jai right now, but I've known all of them rather well.
Hey, and
Yes.
it's just so wonderful to be having
Yes.
this conversation with all of you. You guys are such an inspiration to younger families. I mean, and especially for parents who have children who've just had diagnosis of autism. I mean, to have the kind of people to look up to know what they can hope for is such a wonderful thing. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, Nehal, Jatin, Jay, and Viraj. Thank you so much for coming here today and be willing to share your thoughts with us today. Thank you so much. Vahbiz, would you like to start the introductions? Vahbiz, unmute yourself.
I haven't. Nehal Tiwari is an artist who's making stone speak through her paintings. She's
Yes.
a talented artist who has just completed a graduation in information technology from Xavier's College. She's currently working as an associate consultant at EY India. Her journey has been tough and motivating too. She faces problems with language and communications, but at the same time, she has learned to express herself by injecting life in otherwise lifeless stones and pebbles. Her artwork exhibitions have been organized at India Habitat Center, New Delhi in 2018 and 2019, and at Dadar Carnival, Mumbai in 2019. Her artworks have been widely appreciated in all her exhibitions. Welcome, Nehal. Next, we have Jatin Patil.
Hello.
Jatin Patil, after he's completed his 12th standard, he started studying at Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Pune, where he has completed his BSc and MSc in mathematics. Jatin has completed his master's in mathematics, scoring 8.4, which is cumulative grade point average in his thesis project. He wishes to do his PhD in mathematics, and he has started preparing for the entrance exam. He lives alone in a hostel for the last 5 years, and he manages all his expenses on his scholarships. He has won many scholarships, which include the first rank in Maharashtra in Vedic level maths, scoring 100 out of 100. He got the 8th rank in India for his maths competition exam conducted by India Today Group in 2013-14. He has got the 16th rank in IITG Advanced PWD, All India rank. He was felicitated by the government of Maharashtra in 2017 for his achievement in his studies. Welcome, Jatin. Over to you, Babita.
Thank you, Vahbiz. gives me great pleasure to introduce Jay and Viraj to everybody here. Jay Hopf is an art-based therapy inspired inclusive educator. He specializes in helping people with special needs. Jay attended several different schools as a child before he was homeschooled due to his learning differences and making it difficult for him to fit into normal schools. Experiential homeschooling included science labs at Muktangan, Exploratorium, and student-centered learning. He also graduated from Apni Shala's youth program in Mumbai. His experiential education helped him be selected into the Lighthouse Nirmala Niketan's art-based therapy course. Partially due to his own autism diagnosis, he has focused his ABT practice on helping other people on the spectrum. He has finished the Child Holistic Inclusion course from the University of Minnesota and Atman Academy through a Tata Trust scholarship. He has spent the first part of this COVID lockdown taking care of his family in Mumbai. As the lockdown has eased, he has begun personal academic coaching for some children with special needs. He is currently enrolled in a B.Ed with special needs program. Our next panelist, Viraj Bhat, is no stranger to everybody who's associated with FFA. And a little about Viraj for people who are going to listen to him for the first time. He passed grade 10 through Maharashtra State Board and grade 12 through NIOS. Although he was not interested, he tried to pass first year in arts twice, but due to pressure from his mom. From 2008 to 2010, he had been working in a screen printing workshop, which in his opinion was a dead-end job. He then worked as a data entry clerk in a special school. More than a job, it was the soft skill training that he got there. He now works at SAP Labs in Bangalore, and his hobbies include watching informative and funny videos on the internet and listening to music. And recently, Viraj has moved one step ahead in life and is married to a wonderful young woman, Ayotakshi. So we will hear more from him once we get to him separately. So Vahbiz, you want to take over?
Okay, thank you, Babita. Parents, we would request you to please post your questions in the Q&A section. We will be taking it after we finish our talk. Thank you. Okay, let's start with Nehal.
Vahbiz, if I may interrupt.
Yeah.
Sorry, we forgot one thing. There are going to be 3 other self-advocates who are also presenting today, and they will be presenting through videos about themselves. And so, I mean, we would like you to encourage all of them today. Over to you, Vahbiz.
Okay. Hi, Nehal.
Hi.
Hi. So, Nehal, ready for the questions?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Nehal, since you finished your 10th and 12th from schools, tell us something about your college life. How was your college life at St. Xavier's? Was it too much independence compared to school? Or how did you adjust to it?
My college life was good. I liked it. At school, some boys bullied me, but at college, nobody bullied me. At school, I didn't have friends and friendship was not there. But at college, I had friends and friendship was there. I went out with my college friends. So college life was better than school life.
Okay, wow, that's great. It's good to hear that. Did your parents, were you a little scared when you first entered college, or were you okay with it?
I was okay with the college.
Okay, and did your parents tell you what college life will be before you actually entered college?
Yes, my parents taught me about college life. I was supported by college teachers and friends.
Wow.
My parents taught me to go to college by bus and to come back home by the best bus.
Okay, so you made many friends at college, right?
Yes, I met many close friends at college.
And your professors too were very supportive of you throughout?
The professor was supportive, and whenever I have had problems, I used to meet professors.
Okay, great. Good to know that. Babita?
Yeah. Nehal, congratulations on securing your job at Ernst & Young. We are just so proud of you. How did you prepare for your interview?
First, I made question bank with the help of the parents and practice with the help of mock interview.
Okay. So did you do these mock interviews with your mom and dad at home first?
Yes, I did mock interview with mom and dad with the help of question bank.
Okay, great. And when you were told you were selected for the job, I'm sure you were very delighted. But were you a little apprehensive? Were you a little anxious about how it was going to turn out once you started working?
I became happy as I got selected for the job at EY and I became very independent, but I felt nervous as it was the first day of the job at EY and it was a new place. I also felt nervous that I wanted to travel by local train and bus to office.
Okay. Yes, I mean, like traveling by yourself and that too in public transport is no joke in Mumbai. I mean, like it's amazing that you actually did all that.
Okay, I traveled by bus and local train.
Right, that is amazing. And now you are an associate consultant at work, right?
Yes.
And who do you report to at work?
I am working as associate consultant as an technology consulting. I report to senior manager cyber security in consulting.
Okay. And are you working in a team or are you assigned individual jobs to do?
1 minute. I am part of NCOE teams. We are 5 members, but work is assigned individually.
Okay, that's great. So you have other people in the team too. Wonderful. So I mean, when you do you face any communication problems at work? If you get stuck with something, whom do you talk to?
Yes, I face work problem in verbal communication. Then I communicate to chat.
Okay. Okay. To whom do you do that? With your team members? With whom do you chat?
I chat with team members and seniors.
Okay, that is great. That is great. And how accommodating are they? Are they helpful when you go to them with problems, whether on chat or in person? Are they able to help you in
Yes.
the?
Yes, when I face my problem, then my colleagues and seniors help me and they are accommodating.
That is very nice, very heartening to know that. And how long have you been working now, Nehal?
I have joined EY on 9th November 2020. It has been 1 year and 5 months.
Wow. And now, I mean, like since you've been working in hybrid mode and you visit your office how many times? Once or twice a week?
I am comfortable working in hybrid mode. I go to office twice a week and remaining days I work at home. But if I will be more comfortable, I will start going to office daily.
Okay, that's so nice to hear. And at the end of the day, do you discuss your work day with your parents?
Yes, I discuss my work day with my parents. My parents support me and take care of myself.
That's wonderful to hear, Nehal. I'm so glad to hear all this. Vahbiz?
Yeah. Nehal, you've been doing stone painting for a while now and even holding exhibitions. How did you get the idea of painting stones as such?
First I started painting with oil pastel and then I started with watercolor painting for a few years and then I am working in graduation IT at St. Xavier's College. Then I had stone painting workshop at St. Xavier's College on 10th February 2018. After the workshop, I'm doing the stone painting Lego early for more than 4 years and stone painting became my passion stone painting became my passion.
Okay, so it was finally a workshop which really encouraged you into going into stone painting. That's great.
Yes,
It's really wonderful to see your stone paintings. Tell me, how do you choose a subject most people choose some are only interested in doing paintings of one subject, like say Ganeshas or Gudi Padwas. But I see your paintings have a variety of subjects which you're painting. You do not stick to only one subject. You have landscapes, you have Ganeshas, you have everything. How do you choose your subject to paint, or how do you think about it?
First, I search for festivals using calendar, and then I paint online. Then I paint inspiration from an online images.
Okay. And if you see, suppose you see a picture of on a calendar or something, you feel that I should, this is a picture which I can replicate on my stone, and do you keep it, collecting it?
Yes, I search for festival in calendar and search for pictures.
Okay, that's very nice. I really love your paintings, Nehal. Over
Thank
to you,
you.
Babita.
Oh, yes. I mean, not just me. I mean, I've gifted your stone paintings to so many of my friends and relatives, Nehal, and they have all loved it and appreciated it immensely. Amazing. I mean, your collection is just too good.
Yes, and I developed interest in my stone painting, and stone painting became my passion.
Yes.
My father.
Very visible. Your passion is very visible because
Yes.
you make such amazing paintings of the stones.
Okay, my father paints liver stone from the Kula, and my mother helps in painting the stone. My mother also helped in sticking the stone on MDF board and name plate and by varnishing the stone painting. And my parents also helped in packing the stone and dispatching it. And I have my own stone painting website, Facebook shop, and an Instagram account. And I get orders to Facebook and Instagram order. Till now, my 732 stone art pieces got sold.
Wow,
That's really good.
Fantastic.
So nice to hear that.
So tell us about your sister, Nehal, about Vedika.
My Vedika is also good. She is 16 years old and she is in 12th standard and has completed 11th standard. She is doing NEET medical exam, NEET medical course.
Okay, so she wants to become a doctor.
Yes, she wants to become a doctor. So she had taken biology.
Oh, great. And between the two of you, are you protective of her or is she protective of you?
Yes, Vedika is protective of her. I take care of Vedika when she is in bad mood and when she is not well. And Vedika also does the same. And I love Vedika so much as she is 17 years old.
Wonderful. I mean, it's the most wonderful thing to have a sister, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, I can see that grin says it all. No, Vahbiz?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you help Vedika with her studies, Nehal?
Yes, I help Vedika with the studies very rarely, but I do not disturb her while she is studying.
Okay. And do you and Vedika go out by yourselves?
Yes, I go out with my Vedika like swimming and shopping.
Okay. Nice. And Vahbiz?
Yeah. Nehal, now that you're earning, do you like spending your own money?
Yes.
And how do you go about doing it?
Yes, I like spending my own money and I am trying to be financially independent and I buy my own stuff using GPay.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's so nice to hear you do that. I'm very proud of you, Nehal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nehal. And we have the next panelist, Jatin.
Thank you, Nehal. And before we get to Jatin, we will watch Kabir's presentation as a video. Kabir is a young man on the spectrum. He's 30 years old and possibly a lot of you already know him, but he's presenting today as a video. Priyanka, this video please.
Yes.
So from flower torrents to mugs to spectacle chains. I mean, Kabir has a huge variety of things to buy. So he's I shouldn't say budding entrepreneur. He's already quite established. He has been doing all this for the last couple of years. So our best wishes to Kabir's creations. And Vahbiz, you want to start with Jatin now?
Okay. Thank you, Babita. Jatin. Hi,
Hello.
Jatin. Hi, Jatin.
Hello.
Hi. Tell us about your achievements at school. I believe you've got several awards at school.
Yeah.
Amongst all these awards, which means the most to you at your school level?
So in the class at least, like from at least class 1 or something, I've been like top 3 in all the divisions. Then I've been participating in many competitive exams, like IPMs, state scholarships, Maharashtrian national talent search exams, IPMs, those sort of ones. And there have been it has been like a fairly successful journey there. Out of the various achievements, I guess I'd like to highlight 2 of them. First one would be the National Talent Search exam. I gave that in 8th standard. At that time, it covered the syllabuses of like 8 to at least like 10th standard from like various boards. So the studying part and all was rather intense. So I had some managed to get in like about a month for studying. So in that about that month, I had like set up a timer to like quickly read all the content as fast as I can, and then it like almost I was also solving papers almost daily. Like there's that intense work for like a month. Then the exam will also not also getting uh, very less time for questions on, so it was very rapid fire. So there's always that pressure for that. In the end, I managed to clear it.
Okay.
So that was a big plus, and it so ended up becoming like a big. So it became sort of like a scholarship for the next few years.
Okay. That's great.
I guess the biggest one out of this would be the biggest advantage of this would be that all the NTS awardees were like invited for workshops close to all the science-based institutes.
Right.
So for awardees from Maharashtra, it was IISER Pune.
Okay.
So
That's
that ended up being helpful because then that basically showed us what IISER is. That then I basically stuck with it, and yeah, now I've done my real degree from IISER itself.
Yeah, okay. Great to know that. I'm sure in the 8th standard, if you could give, answer questions which were meant so that you were fully prepared for your 10th at that time only.
Yeah.
Great to know that. Tell us about your college life.
So, okay, in terms of junior college, frankly, I mean, there wasn't like much to say because like it was actually set up to be an integrated setup, as in like I would only go to the college for practicals and stuff.
Okay.
So the big chunk of college life would probably would mainly come from IISER.
Okay. But in IISER, you started staying in a hostel by yourself. How did you manage your hostel life? Did you miss being at home?
So for hostel life, so fortunately after clearing the admission and all, there are like 3 months before the admission. In between, I learned many like these basic things like organizing, washing clothes by hand, making some basic food stuff, that sort of stuff. That sort of stuff. Then as for As for being homesick, yeah, at start it was a bit, yeah, there was that feeling there for like a few months. Later on, the overall hospitality of the place was like so good. I rather feel more homesick. I rather start feeling more homesick for my second home, as it were. I mean, I still do, frankly. I still miss IISER.
Okay. Okay. Babita?
Thanks, Vahbiz. I suppose you are echoing what every young adult would feel, Jatin. I mean, the independence of, I mean, like, as much as you would have missed home, the independence of being by yourself would have been something very liberating also.
Yes, yes.
Did you enjoy that freedom that you got?
Yeah, a lot, yeah.
And I know while you were working for your dual degree, you were also traveling for workshops on your own. You were flying across the country and all that. So, I mean, can you share a little about that?
I guess I can share about
how you got
okay.
ready to travel by yourself. How did you manage all the finances? How did you do that?
Finances. So here, I mean, the finances part was like at least for the workshop, at least the finances part wasn't that much of a deal. I mean, that part was like taken care of by the parents and the main stuff. But as for the workshop and all, yeah, I mean, I was told that I can share about one workshop, I guess. There's this one with Joshi 2016 for a KPI awardees. There, sorry. So okay, I was made ready there by like the idea was there. Then parents, friends, their enthusiasm and them telling made me ready for that. So yeah, that ended up being like my first long journey without my parents, as it was in Bangalore, IISc Bangalore.
Right. I mean, like airports can be confusing places for most people.
Yeah.
How I mean, how did you feel in an airport all by yourself, trying to navigate your way to the?
Fortunately, I wasn't just by myself. I was with my friends. Fortunately, so.
Okay.
Okay. One point that I'd like to add, I guess, regarding this thing. So this was my first like sort of long journey. My mom was trying to explain to my friends like what autism is and all, because like I was autistic and all. So they basically reassured my mom by saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter that he is autistic. We only know him as a friend.
That is so amazing.
So
and
good.
So heartening to hear.
Yeah.
Such a wonderful gesture. And it shows what a nice friend you were to them, Jatin, and that made them say that. I mean, friendship is a very reciprocal relationship.
Yeah.
So unless, I mean, you had done your part in that friendship, I mean, like, it would not have been easy for your friends to say that to your mom. That is wonderful. I mean, like, the friendships that we developed during our school and college days, these are the most wonderful relationships that we develop through our lifetime. Right, Vahbiz?
Yeah. Okay. Jatin, tell us about how you manage your finances. I believe you use your scholarship money.
Yes.
That?
So, yeah, that's like a so I've been like getting various scholarships from childhood. So that has been like accumulating. Then the big scholarships and all. So that itself was basically enough to pay for like pretty much all of my all the educational part. That was almost completely paid. Like so, basically in the so like for IISER, the only thing parents basically paid for is like food. Other than that, everything else is all the other expenses are comfortably covered under scholarships.
Wonderful. So nice to hear that. just amazing. And how did you move from physics to maths as such? Why was the shift?
Okay, this is sort of complicated story, but okay. So okay, well, okay. When is rather little is young at third, fourth, from like third, fourth onwards, I did have liking towards mathematics, like arithmetic and all that. I did have liking towards mathematics.
Okay.
That somewhat waned from like sixth standard onwards, as in like some sort of scientific curiosities, like that sort of spread across various other subjects.
Mm-hmm.
Then, so yeah, that stayed like that. Then in around like basically 11th and all, physics seemed like in base and all that. Base very mechanical and very structured.
Right.
So at that time, yeah, I developed more of a liking towards physics. Then I guess it's basically similar, but I don't know, it was maths is feeling rather formulaic around, so it that liking waned a little bit at that time.
Okay.
Then I joined IISER.
Mm-hmm.
When I joined IISER, I was like, yeah, I guess I'll just continue stuff in physics.
Mm.
But then I guess the main the main switch would be basically them them teaching maths in a like very rigorous way and all.
Okay.
That specific structure, that logic and all that, that just made me like maths a lot. So I like basically switched over to maths in basically in like first semester.
Okay. Babita?
Yeah. I remember that first conversation we had, Jatin, when you had just decided to move to towards mathematics, and during the FFA party. I still remember that evening. And now you've successfully completed your dual degree from IISER,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you are hoping to enroll for an PhD program.
Hmm.
So where all have you applied? How are you preparing for the PhD entrance exams?
So currently the plan is to apply to a few of the IITs, CMI, IMSC, those sort of places. And as for the applications, I haven't sent to one yet. It's still in progress. And then I guess for that I also had to I've also given 2 qualifying exams basically. I've managed to qualify in them. As for the preparation,
surprised. So when will you know where you will get into?
I don't know. I mean, first some few of the applications, I guess I would get to know like by probably start of May or something.
Okay, so pretty soon.
For some, yeah.
Okay.
Then
good.
it's going to keep continuing like June, July, and all for the rest of the institutes.
Right. Wonderful. So, yeah, looking forward to the doctor being put in front of your name soon. And so you have this incredibly talented sister who also has special needs.
Yes.
I mean, tell us a little about Rashmi and how your bond with her and how you both communicate with each other.
Sure. So, okay, the special needs part. Well, she has been profoundly deaf since birth.
Right.
But despite that, she is a national Bharatanatyam dancer.
Correct.
She's done many stage shows, many on the national level, as said. Then she also has an online handmade jewelry business and chocolate making business.
Right.
She also has a diploma in Nitya Sutra. And she also is a model and has also managed to get a few titles in a few pageant shows.
Right.
As for the bond, I don't know, maybe our And as for the bond, I mean, we have been like pretty close. That we usually like tell like tiny things to each other. Those tiny, the small things that happen to each other. Then we seem to be very, we have been like, very supportive to each other.
I'm sure of that. Do you all fight also, like regular siblings?
And not much these days, but yeah, when you're little, yes.
Right.
He's
I
an
guess-
amazing dancer, Babita.
Huh?
He's an amazing dancer. His
Yes,
sister is
of
an
course,
amazing
yeah, yeah.
dancer and really gifted.
Very gifted girl, very gifted girl. And how do you communicate with her, Jatin?
As in, I mean, I guess the other base part is, I mean, yeah, I mean, like she is deaf, but like she can lift it very well. So
Correct.
conversation part is like she's already very capable. Capable. Translations may not be clear, but otherwise, yeah, words and all she is very good with.
Correct. So I'm sure you have never had any trouble, communicating with each other.
Not much.
Beautiful, beautiful. So best wishes to both of you, Jatin.
Okay.
And it was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jatin. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Sorry.
And next we will have a video from Sahil Baghdadi. And Sahil is another entrepreneur on the spectrum and has recently held an art exhibition of all his paintings at the Press Club of India. And he is a born artist, a born organizer, and a born neat freak. And he's a lot more than that too. Can we have Sahil's video, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Wasn't that beautiful? I mean, his paintings are just mind-blowing.
Yes, indeed it is.
I mean, I've seen Sahil since he was like probably 3 or 4, and he was always into art, and it's wonderful to see how he has blossomed today.
Yes, I remember seeing him running around Sadhana school when I used to be taking my son there. And what a fine adult he's grown out to be.
Correct. You want to start with Jay, Vahbiz?
Okay, yeah. Hi, Jay.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Jay, tell us, how did you know about your disability and that you're being different from others? How did that realization come to you?
Well, something was a little weird when starting off. I believe one of the first schools I was at was Kruth Memorial. Gosh, this must have been when I was really young. Like,
Yes.
not grade 1, what? UKG, I guess, LKG, maybe around then.
Mhm.
And the first couple of schools I was at, I got to start at a fairly advanced level, but then I kept having to switch schools growing up very often for, well, a variety of reasons. For one, I had a lot of trouble
Okay.
meshing into the environment.
Mhm.
And so I noticed that something's a bit weird because I don't remember so many other children necessarily needing to switch schools this often. Then I started falling behind a couple of grades. And because like every time you switch, right, you have to switch at the end of the school year, beginning of the next school
Right.
year, something like that, right? Unless you're at a very specific timing. So then you start falling behind. And that started the process of getting homeschooling kind of set up.
Okay.
But I believe all of the switching, along with the fact that I had a very hard time interacting with peers of my age group. I was much more comfortable interacting with drastic age changes. Like I was more comfortable interacting with, say, a 40 or a 50-year-old when I was 10, or maybe like a 2-year-old than anyone else within a few years of my own age. So when I started to realize, okay, something's a little off.
So at what age did you start being homeschooled? After the disasters with all different schools that you had, at what age did you say, it's okay now, I'm going to be homeschooled? Or your parents took the decision?
Okay, so I believe this was around 10,
Okay.
around 10 years old.
Uh-huh. And did you miss being a part of any school? Like friends and all the activities which normally go on in school, while here you are completely at home with just a parent or a teacher coming to teach you, and you're missing out on all the outdoor activities and all the fun that takes place in a normal school.
So one of the most common things that existed for my parents was having to take me to some other classmates' house because I would not keep up with any of the work going on at school at all. And then having to like redo any copies pretty much. That's like the most common thing. My after school activities was literally hoping to like hop around different parents' houses, hoping that their child has like stuff written down so that I can actually do that then. So attention in school was definitely something that I struggled a lot with. And that also kind of made it a little hard to make friends. I believe there was only like one person that I was slightly friendly with during my school days. And teachers, at least at that point of time, or in my area, maybe weren't the best equipped at handling differences. So when I was in second standard, for example, one of the schools I went to was a very large classroom, like 60 kids in a classroom. One of those styles of SSC schools, right? The teacher had a hard time handling any differences whatsoever, including going as far as if you're writing, because I used to be left-handed originally. And that was something that bothered the teacher very much. She wanted everyone to use the proper hand. So she used to like beat my hand repeatedly and prick it and anything to try and make sure it doesn't write. So I'm forced to use my right hand. So I could learn like, because that's the proper way to do things. So school memories aren't something I would really miss all that much.
I can understand. If you're left-handed and you're really forced to write with your right hand, it really affects you in writing to the great extent.
There's one good thing. Now I'm pretty bad at both my hands.
Not bad. There are many like you, don't worry, who nowadays, and it's not a problem these days. We have computers for everything. So you don't have to sit and write everything. You can use the technology to your advantage now.
Typing is so much.
Easier, right? Okay, Babita?
I love that bit of being bad at both hands. I mean, I love your humor, Jay. Jay, before we go ahead, we have a couple of parents feedback from the audience saying they aren't able to hear you too well. So can you just speak up a little?
Yeah, okay. I'll speak a little closer to the mic. Is this better for everyone? Is this something that you can all hear properly?
I mean, we didn't have trouble, but I mean, we just heard a couple of people.
Okay, I'm going to assume that everyone can hear me properly.
Yeah. Now it's better. So I mean, so tell us about your experiential learning at the science labs at Muktangan.
Muktangan. So that was one of my
face lights up.
No. It's a good place. It's a really good place. If you are ever in Pune, you should definitely take some time to check it out. If you feel like there's any benefit to like getting access to actual labs. So they were a place where, well, for one thing, most schools that I know of at least don't have the facilities for labs. I
Right.
think that's fairly common.
True.
So having access to one and getting to work hands-on with a lot of stuff that is only theorized in the books, in your
Right.
science books, it's a pretty big game changer. It actually allowed me to have some amount of focus because I was into the activity. I was not simply an observer where I'm watching things happen. Stuff is being written on a board really fast. It's being erased before I get to copy it down in my book. Oh no, what's going on? Feeling massive I'm like, I'm in the action. I'm doing something right then. And I'm learning through that process, learning through doing. So that worked out pretty well. I liked the way Muktangan taught. And experiential homeschooling through science labs at Muktangan was more of a supplement. It wasn't like its own thing. It wasn't like my replacement school. It was some place I would go to get more information. Within pretty much anything science related, science and maths related. I got to develop an interest in geology over there for a while, which became a hobby now. Yeah, I'm seeing this by Brian Rodriguez. So Brian Rodriguez, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, I'm so sorry. But yes, hands-on experience makes a huge difference. It honestly does.
Certainly, certainly. And tell us about your graduation from Apni Shala. Did you enjoy the ceremony? You have a ceremony first.
Yes, Apni Shala was nice. That was a place I got to learn a lot of social skills because up until that point, while I had always tried to figure out what I was doing that made people uncomfortable or that people were not liking as much, because we all know that there are different social rules to follow, right? Everyone has different social norms, social rules they're supposed to follow, but you are not always fully aware of them, especially if you're on the spectrum. Sometimes it gets really difficult to know that this is a social norm that everyone else is doing that you should be doing. You're not fully aware of that. So Apni Shala was a place where I got feedback directly from my peers and from my teacher that, hey, this is something that you're doing that is going to make people uncomfortable. This is something that you're doing that works out fine. I got to get that feedback constantly and work on myself and improve on aspects that I wanted to improve. So it honestly helped me be a lot better. And they taught me a lot of life skills overall. There were a lot of things I got to learn through homeschooling, which I feel like schools don't normally teach. And Apni Shala has also kind of had a little bit of overlap there. But for the most part, I feel like Apni Shala has been an instrumental part of my life. And yeah, I think that's it.
That's wonderful to know that how much you have benefited from both Muktangan and Apni Shala. Vahbiz?
Yeah. Thanks, Babita. Tell us about how was your self-realization and how did art help you go about? How did you realize about art as such?
Okay, so I just want to get this clarification. When you say realize about art, my version of artistic expression has primarily been through stories and poetry. So I just because I struggle with visual arts, which is kind of funny for someone who practices art-based therapy. But yeah, so someone like say Nehal, she does visual art really well, and it is something that I am definitely still working on. But my self-realization was more of having a method of expression that worked. So originally, if there was something that I would struggle to explain to somebody, because sometimes when you want to explain something to someone, like you feel a specific way and you don't know the exact words, if you just stand in front of someone and want to tell them, I think that when you do this, it's I get this way, like my body does this. It's difficult to always describe the feeling. I think this applies to everybody. Sometimes some feelings are just difficult to describe. So poetry and storytelling were a way for me to create a visual guide that is understandable by everyone. So like if you say, it felt as if hearing this news felt as if an entire sky over me washed out gray, right? Now that elicits an emotion towards whoever's listening, some form or the other. When you visualize it, you can connect that to an emotion. Maybe it may not be the exact same, but it is similar enough that it connects. So that was a way for me to interact with people.
Okay.
Eventually it got, yeah.
Your experiential education helped you getting selected at Nirmala Niketan ABT course. Tell us something about it.
Okay. So I'd like to get a little bit of clarity in it helping me getting in. So I got in through a few ways, one of which was my amazing mom basically telling the people, hey, I won't be any trouble, because I'm sure a lot of people know that whenever, like, autism isn't always known that well, not in every area.
Yes.
It's getting better, and I really like that it's getting better.
Correct.
For the most part, when you think of autism, you immediately, like, your mind immediately goes to, there's going to be lots of screaming and hitting and biting, something like that. That seems to be like the most common visual that people get. I'm not saying that that doesn't always happen, but that is like the one thing that gets associated very commonly, even if it isn't, like, if it isn't appropriate. So my mom went through a lot of trouble trying to explain that, hey, this is like, none of these are going to be issues. And they were very understanding. At first, they were thinking that she might be needed to sit with me during these sessions and to make sure everything is all right. But eventually, over time, it was like, it was fine. They had me join in. I got to be a part of a group. I got to understand different perspectives from people. It was also one of the times I got to improve my socialization. I became someone that was I was the guy that everyone came to for hugs and chocolate, because I always have a little bit of chocolate in my bag that I give to people. I mean, only children get chocolate nowadays. Adults never get any. Adults should get some of this often, right? Just a little bit. So that and hugs, whoever wanted one. And that was nice. That was a fun part. I got to make a few friends there who I'm not the best at keeping in touch, but I do read their chat, and I check out their posts every so often. I'll say something, but I do appreciate that I've gone there. Also, I want to get a little bit of clarity, if that's all right. Like, may I ask you guys a question as well?
Sure.
All right. So like, one big part of this that's going on is to also help parents understand and feel like, what is the primary goal? Like, my assumption is this is something that is also going to help parents who are part of this, right? Yeah, like this self-advocate talk.
Right.
So I just want to understand, because then I can tweak my answers slightly so that it is a little bit better for them. Is that all right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Any other questions? Sorry. I think I've.
Oh, I thought you were going to question us. Right?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No. I just want. That was my only question. I just wanted
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I know what my primary answer, like,
How?
because I'm overthinking this a lot. I feel like so for the most part, right? I primarily work with children on the spectrum, right? That's like that's what I enjoy doing, what I like to do. So very often I will talk to different parents and have them understand basically what it is. It's not as scary as it seems. It always seems far scarier when it's not fully understood, right? So when you can talk about it and explain how it's completely normal and how there's nothing drastically weird about it, and the stigmas around it are exactly that, they're just stigmas, it gets easier. So I'm just in that weird mindset where I'm trying to like merge these two things at once, and I'm not fully
Nothing
aware.
weird about it at all. It's very helpful. Nothing weird about it at all. It's immensely helpful. I mean,
Okay.
you are able to articulate it so well. So I'm sure, like, it's very helpful to all those who are listening. And tell me a little about the child holistic inclusion course that you did from University of Minnesota and the Atman Academy thing from through the Tata Trust scholarship.
Okay, so that was fun. I mean, I keep saying everything was fun. This was
I know.
fun. This
I mean,
was fun.
everything
I know, but
you seem like it was fun.
but my philosophy is different experiences, no matter what they are good to like just have. I'd rather experience something, even if I know I might not like it or I might like it a lot, whatever it is, I'd like to experience it at least once. That way I know what it is. So I understand it better. So I go in with that mindset. So
26 વર્ષ specialist बच्चा સાથે રમવા.
insert. Okay. So yeah, the child holistic inclusion course, Atman Academy's course, that was something where I got to improve my skills in teaching and making sure that what I'm teaching was not necessarily okay. I'm going to give you a quick example. When you think of designing a party, okay, let's say you want to design a party for those who have diabetes.
Okay.
The first thing that comes to your mind, maybe what kind of snacks you're going to put in, what form of sugar-free snacks are you going to put in and such.
Right.
Becomes as an example, okay? I'm not saying this is exactly what will be designed, but a common thing is people will fixate so hard on primarily designing the party for those that are diabetic that any of their friends or anyone else who comes with them that aren't may not necessarily have as nice an experience.
Right.
So one of the main things, or not main, but one major thing that I really liked was how this class kind of got me to realize, wait a second, you could just design an entire party that everyone can come to, regardless of what it is that they may have difficulties with, different sections and such. And that would be beneficial for everyone. So inclusion is not just making it easy for one specific group, but also making it so that no other groups are inadvertently pushed away.
Right.
So that was something I really liked from this class.
That's true inclusion, isn't it?
Yeah. When we don't just try and buff up or bring up one particular person, but try to keep an even playing field for everyone.
Right, right.
Gosh, what was that photo? There was that photo of three people that are trying to view over a fence, like trying to look over a fence. I think we all may be very familiar with it.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
the one tall person can see over the fence.
Correct.
That, do you give everyone one box? Do you give one person
Right.
2 boxes? Or do you just straight away remove that blocked fence, the equity versus equality.
Right.
So that was something that was put fairly deep into me through this course. And I liked it. I made a lot of friends there.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. I'll go through next question. Sorry.
Okay, Jay, tell us, for your B.Ed program, why did you choose the subject of working with special children? Was it because you thought you could associate with them better because of your own disability?
So there are actually a lot of factors that went into this. I was considering a few different things. I was considering children at risk for a while. I was considering abuse victims for a while. I was looking at different areas. And I thought about what it is that I would understand a little better. So this isn't to say that someone who is on the spectrum will always know what to do for others on the spectrum.
Right.
Okay, I want to make that very clear, especially
Yes.
for anyone because there are a lot of parents, I don't want them to take this in any other way. It's like if you grew up on a farm, right? And then later in your life, after you've done other things, whatever, you see another farm and they need help, you will immediately know, oh yeah, I remember when I was growing up, this means that the cow is sick. This means that this chicken got in a fight. Or, you know, you can use some of the experience that you've already gained. So it's mostly experience that I had gained through my life that helped me perform a little better here. And I liked it. It's something I felt that I could do well in. Yes, to some degree, I could see little bits of my childhood growing up and see that in other children I'd work with. That is there for sure. But this doesn't mean that it's not experience that anybody can get.
Babita?
Yeah, I mean, like, these are such wonderful answers that we are getting from you, Jay. I mean, so much clarity in your thought process, and so much clarity in how you have reached your the place that you are in today. I mean, you've actually thought about, I mean, even before the B.Ed, you've thought about so much before you decided on what you wanted to do. Wonderful.
I just wanted to put one more thing, because
yeah, sure.
I want homeschooling to be a little like delved in on a little bit deeper. Is that okay if I elaborate a little more on that?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, because homeschooling is a really alien concept. Primarily in India, I feel like it's something that's not as well known. And one of the ways that my parents would have to go about that was like that whole experiential learning was literally that, right? Having to learn through specific experiences, like mathematics was something I would have to struggle with. So the way and getting a better understanding of that was by not just sitting with the textbook and copying down sums and then answering the sums and then processing through it, doing that again. But I would be given different amounts of money for buying things. I would have to figure out what I can get that is the best value. My dad, a common thing we'd do was, and I'm sure a lot of people do this, but it's actually quite helpful, is when we'd go to a store and we'd look at two products, like, okay, this product is 600 grams for 40 rupees. This product is 400 grams for 30 rupees. What is the value? How many rupees per gram are we, I mean, how many grams per rupee are we getting? You know, like have to go through that, have it be useful in day-to-day life. Plus, I was also very, very fortunate that I have a garden, so we could do a few experiments in the garden without having to worry about getting something to blow up in the house. Because I've had a couple of really early experiments that made that part of the garden a place we didn't want to be for like a couple of days. Sorry, Dad. But
all that is part of your experience.
But I got to learn a lot from that.
Right.
I got to learn how a lot of mechanics work because my dad used to take me to this one place, Madhu Automobiles. So I would ask and I would be allowed to help out in the repair, which small little bits only, in the repair of cars. So I got to learn a lot about how an internal combustion engine works, what connects where, why it works, how it's supposed to happen. I got to work in a plant nursery. I handled finances for a store. I got to set out and sort out newspapers. My parents were very open to letting me try different things as a way of having me learn, while also, having me learn while also having a little bit of fun along the way, as long as I wasn't screwing up my responsibilities. Like if you have to like set out and organize newspapers, you can't just play them over the place, right? So I got to work in a library for a while. I got to do a lot of things, and I'm really thankful for that. So I feel homeschooling is something that isn't limited to specifically your house. It basically means your learning is not primarily happening in one building. It's happening throughout your entire life, and you're trying to facilitate that learning throughout your life. So you can use any opportunity wherever you go, anywhere. For any of the parents listening, you can go anywhere you want and use that as a learning opportunity. Okay,
I so agree with you. Every word that you have said, resonates with me so much, Jay. I'm glad you actually decided to speak about homeschooling separately. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for being who you are and for sharing your thoughts with us today. And we'll get back to you once questions come in.
Okay. Yes, I am up for any questions.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. And now we will have another video presentation. This is about Divya Gwalani, 30-year-old girl on the spectrum. I mean, I've literally known Divya since she was 4 or something. So my son and she grew up together and studied together initially. And it's just so wonderful to see how she has, what she has become today. So we will see more about her in her video to understand that. Priyanka, Divya's video, please.
Yes.
So that was Divya's presentation. Vahbiz, you want to start with Viraj?
Okay. Welcome, Viraj.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Can we have your video on? Hi. Viraj, you know, normally these days, children get diagnosed as early as, say, 1.5 or 2 years old. While in your case, you were diagnosed pretty late, probably at the time when you were about to finish school. Do you think that if you were diagnosed much earlier, this would have created, given you a better way of understanding your life as such, and it would have helped in your academic life?
Absolutely. In fact, I would have chosen to be homeschooled, and better off if I were luckier, if I were more fortunate, I would have rejected school education altogether and pursued what I actually really enjoy. That is software, computer hardware, and web page designing.
Okay. So you would have opted for that, right? Good. So I mean, you don't think your school was a great place for you to be in? You would have preferred homeschooling as such?
Yes.
Okay.
Looks like Jay has company here.
Yes, we can see the thumbs up there. Okay, Viraj, tell us, after NIOS, you tried doing first year arts just because your mother wanted you to do, and you were not successful for it. So, and you did start working in a screen printing workshop,
Yes,
which
yes.
you made. Tell us something more about that.
It is in the workshop that I work for. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So there they screen print some visiting cards, mostly visiting
Okay.
cards, and other papers. And
Okay.
that was
Tell us
not a
about.
very enjoyable job. That is
Okay, you
more or
didn't
less a
like that
laborious
as
job.
such. Yeah, okay, you didn't find that very interesting as such. But you found the job of data entry in a special school was very good for you. You felt that you learned a lot of life skills there. Tell us about it.
Actually, that also it helped me a lot in my office life. Means there I learned certain soft skills like being punctual. Before that, I was not very punctual, and other earlier I had for 10th grade I had learned typewriting, and while I worked as a data entry clerk, that I perfected that habit of typewriting.
Okay. Yes, of course, typewriting is a must for data entry people. It is a big advantage today.
Yes.
Babita, over to you.
Yes, Viraj, tell us how you got into SAP Labs and how you started living independently and traveling independently. I'm sure a lot of parents are waiting to hear such things.
In the year 2014, one organization sent offer message that saying that we are going to train autistic people for some organization, for a corporation, and my mother noticed it and told about it to me, and she persuaded me to move to some other city, that is Bengaluru, where I'm living. And in the beginning, I was not very happy to move there because I'm not very comfortable with change. I was feeling settled in Mumbai, and that disagreement went on for not more than a day, I think, more to 1 or 2 days. Then I told that I will try for that training. And in the year February 15th or something, 2015, I actually joined SAP Labs. Before that, I was getting trained in late 2014. Yes.
And it must have been unnerving for you, isn't it? I mean, trying to move from Mumbai to Bangalore and all that. But your mother was able to convince you that you will be able to do it.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Can you repeat the question once again, please?
And so you've been learning to commute independently also, right?
Yes, I mean, actually, since age 16 or something, I was very accustomed to traveling by bus. So once I reached Bengaluru, it wasn't much of a struggle at all. And even by airports, I travel from Mumbai to Bengaluru by air. Even there, it was not a very big struggle for me.
Okay, that's nice.
Initially, my mother was with me, and later I learned to travel alone.
So she kind of eased you into the whole process of traveling. Yeah. And how was it? I mean, like, you know, living by yourself in Bengaluru?
Yes, I love being living alone actually. And, okay. Yes, and at least I don't feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
And that's what.
So, I mean, so then once you moved into SAP Labs, I mean, like you've been living by yourself, managing your home. You were doing all that.
One thing I didn't mention that for a few first few years, like until 2019 or something, I was living with another employee of that company who was trained in that same organization.
Okay.
He lived as a tenant in my house, and yeah.
So you had a kind of a buddy system. So yes. You had somebody to, I mean, you know, share your chores, and your if you had difficulties, you had somebody to fall back on also.
Yes.
Okay, that would have been very relieving for your mother also to know that there is somebody also to help you.
But later, yeah.
But I'm sure later you started living by on your own and you managed it well.
Yes, in 2019.
Okay, great. Vahbiz?
Let's tell us about your hobbies. What do you do in your spare time?
My hobbies change with time actually.
Okay.
I myself didn't keep track of what hobbies I all had, but since the pandemic period, my hobbies have been restricted to watching informative videos on YouTube, okay. And that is one thing I lived with. And but before I had learned HTML and CSS in a few years back, 2-3 years back. And I loved learning it.
Okay. So you enjoy HTML and CSS coding?
Yes.
Okay. Now that you're married, congratulations to that. Tell us more about your married life now. How did you meet Ayotokshi, and when did you decide that she's the person whom you would like to get married to and spend the rest of your life?
It was an arranged marriage, and we her parent, her dad got to know about me through some matrimonial for autistic people, and that's how we got to know. She lives in the same city.
Okay.
She lived in the same city.
Oh, she's from Bengaluru only. Okay. Right. So initially, were you apprehensive about sharing your home with her, and like, how did you go about it? Because now that you're living alone, both of you all are together and living by yourselves, how were you a little anxious about it?
Anxious,
now
yes.
That you have a wife? Yes. Okay.
But not exactly uncomfortable. Okay. I mean, I was absolutely welcome to the change.
Okay. Okay. Babita?
That's wonderful to know, Viraj. Now that you both live together, now how do you share household chores? Who decides what? Who does what work? And how do you all share the work at home?
We live in a house which is very near to my mother's, in the same society, and actually the household chores is managed by my mother also, and sometimes me, and mostly by helpers. But I'm gradually learning some things. basic things like using the broom and all, I am not accustomed to, but I really want to learn because self-reliance is very important for me
Absolutely.
at least.
Right. And does Ayotakshi also work?
Yes, cooking, she's very good at cooking.
No, I meant like as in, does she work? Does she have a job?
Earlier she had she worked in somewhere, I'm not aware, but as of now she is not working.
Okay.
Yes.
And but you go to work. I mean, are you working from home or are you going to the office now?
I'm working from home and
From home.
yes.
So I'm sure you both are glad that you get to spend more time with each other at home.
Yes, absolutely. But sometimes working from home itself becomes tiresome, and I'm really eager to go back to the office now.
Okay. That is not what I'm hearing from a lot of people. I hear a lot of people have got very comfortable working from home, and they are not really looking forward to getting back to the office. It's very nice to know that you want to get back to the office, Viraj.
And that is not a working in the office, not a very big burden because it is not very far away from my house.
Correct. Anything else you would like to share, Viraj?
I would definitely share if you have something, if you ask.
I mean, is there anything other than our questions? This is all that we had written down for you. Is there anything else that you would like to share, or shall we move to questions?
I'm just happy to be. I'm really happy to be invited. Yes.
Thank you, Viraj. Priyanka, I think we have just 2 questions, but unfortunately they have not named as to who they should be addressed to. So anybody who on the panel who wishes to answer them, we could go ahead. Priyanka?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Now this is one question. How you want to help others with the same condition, understand and communicate like you? What has helped you the most? Jai, would you like to answer that?
All right, I'm going through the, what do you want to?
It's a Q&A.
Yeah, I'm reading the question just to make sure. Sometimes I have to reread something.
Right, no issues.
What helped the most? Okay, so there are actually a lot of different little things that all helped. It has been a process that's gone on throughout my entire life, and it is still going on. Like even now, I have to be very aware to a degree, which is why, at least in my case, I have recharge times, like a phone. Basically, if I'm social and if I'm explaining things before I get into a social situation, I mentally prepare, and then afterwards I'll also take some time to unwind. Because at least throughout a lot of my life, I had to make sure I am properly aware of what it is that I need to do to make it easier for others to communicate with me. First, it took me a while to realize that, okay, people are having trouble communicating with me, and they're having issues in this aspect or this aspect or this aspect. And I would run this by my father a lot. I would tell him that, okay, how about now? How am I talking to you now? Is this okay? Is this okay? I would just keep running through different conversational scenarios. And I would do that for a while till I could figure out, okay, so this is something that I'm having trouble with. Like when I originally started having trouble with eye contact, which is fairly common, I realized like I had enough self-awareness at the time, thankfully, that I could push myself for training exercises, like eye contact being one of them. Then I would research that, okay, on average, every 6 seconds, people blink their eyes and you're supposed to look at somebody's eyes. So I would start looking at someone's eyes and then every 6 seconds blink. I'd count in my head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I would keep doing that until I realized that is freaking people out because it looks very robotic and people don't know how to deal with that. It makes them feel as if they are like you are forced to be there, even if you don't mind being there. So then I had to alternate how long. So I had to switch between 4 and 9 seconds, depending. Then I realized, oh, another big one. You're not actually supposed to, like right now I'm looking away, because most of the time you're supposed to look away and then look back. Now it's become much more ingrained and it's like a part of me. I'm comfortable with that now. Like now I'm like, it takes a while for it to become ingrained. But growing up, it was something I had to push myself to do. So very often, I mean, I used to be very creepy, and I get that. I completely understand. So in order to help other people communicate to a similar level, would first require them knowing that they are having some struggle with communication, then being willing to go through the process of identifying each and every small individual nuance. Like right now, what do you do when you want to show comfort in a situation? You lean back on your chair, you move your arm out a little bit, you like rest on something. You do these subconsciously most of the time, but like for many people you do this subconsciously, right? But like this is something I would read about in books, I would learn about for a long time, because I realized if you just curl up into like a little ball and just sit like this while looking at someone just straight on, they're not going to be, they're just going to get very uncomfortable. So it took a while for me to realize that this is something that I want to make people around me more comfortable, and I'm willing to go through all of the hassle that it takes. I also had to realize that I am having that effect on people, because that also takes a while, because just realizing that you have an effect is honestly the biggest step. Realizing that, okay, this is something some people like, some people don't, that's the big step. Now, thankfully, I have some really nice friends who don't always need me to be in like perfect social behavior. So I am able to be very different around them, and that's okay. That allows me to like relax and recharge. But there's also absolutely nothing wrong with being, you know, this, I don't know if social butterfly is the right word. I don't feel I've reached that stage yet, but but
Looks
getting
like you're well on your way towards one. With so much research that you've done about
it's an ongoing process.
Right.
I'm subscribed to like 6 different YouTube channels that I will go through and watch for, oh, this is a tip that helps in this case. Oh, this is a tip that helps in this case. It became more study than my actual study. But it has proven useful, and I honestly enjoy being able to make people around me feel comfortable or at ease. It's something I like. So I enjoy doing this. It's not something I feel like I'm forced to do.
I think we can take the next question to Jatin. Jatin, would you like to answer this question? What are the challenges you face and how did you overcome them? No?
I didn't know this.
Okay, no
I'm
issue.
not very sure because it feels very broad.
Okay, not a problem. Viraj, would you like to answer that? What are the challenges you faced and how did you overcome them?
Sure. Let me try.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I don't have an answer for this.
No problem, no issues. Nehal?
Yes.
Nehal, did you face any challenges in life as such, in any thing like at college or school or even at your work, and how did you overcome them?
I didn't face any challenge, and when I had problem, I used to meet profession at college.
Okay. Okay. So you had help available whenever you were faced with any problem or challenges as such?
Yes, I helped.
Okay. Yeah, and your parents were always there to help you out, right?
Yes.
Okay. The next question is to Jay. Babita, would you like to take that?
Yeah. So the question to Jay is, how do you regulate yourself in anxious situations, and what advice would you give parents who have children on the spectrum?
Okay. Self-regulation. Oh my God. This one is so tough because I mentioned one thing that I have to do earlier. Whenever I'm going into any social situation, if I know about it beforehand, I have to have some amount of prep work. So for me, what my prep work will be is trying to make sure that I think a little bit about what people may ask or what might happen to a degree. But anxious situations can differ greatly. Like one thing that I still to this day cannot do is when my grandmother wants to go to her events. She has these temple events where a lot of people, at least pre-COVID, they'd all gather. And you know how temples get really crowded and loud and noisy. And like there's no amount of prep that helps me get through that. About half an hour in, I'm just shaking and I am a complete mess. And I have to like do whatever it takes to not just like start screaming or crying or so some situations I still cannot fully deal with, but over time I've been able to get a little bit of help. So if I'm going with somebody I know, and I'm not aware that I'm making, like if I'm not aware that I am having some difficulty, one second, just 1 second. Okay, sorry. If I'm not aware that I'm having some issues with my body at that time, or I'm like starting to show a few signs of anxiety, which I feel I might have shown 2 or 3 times already. I hope not, but then they call me out. They tell me, hey, are you okay? This is going on. Everything fine. I process through what it is. Now, what advice would I give to parents? You'll have to try and help. And I'd like to also talk to the other panelists with this. Is that okay? Jatin, Nehal, and Viraj?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Nehal?
So,
Okay.
yeah, I just want to like talk to you guys with this. Is from what I understand, right? The only thing you can really tell parents is just. I'm assuming this is specifically for anxious situations. Is that helping them understand what it is when they feel anxiety? Like, okay, when you are anxious, you do this behavior, this behavior, this behavior, this behavior, right? So if you notice yourself doing any of these specific behaviors, then you might be feeling this specific emotion at the time. So what do you want to do in order to deal with that? Having that structured format, at least that's something that I would have to do mentally. Do you feel like that's something that you guys would also kind of agree on? Like, okay, when I'm in this situation and I start acting this way, I might be feeling these emotions. So I should consider doing this, or this. Having that like pre-planned. Do you think that would have helped you?
Yeah. To some extent, at least, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the basic. The only thing I can say advice-wise is that only. I'll just be reiterating myself again. Help your child understand that when they are feeling what they are feeling, so that okay, you had this, you may have had an outburst, or you may have said this, or you may have acted in this way. I think you might have been feeling this. What do you think you might have been feeling? Go through the list, identify, and then future events and future times, anything is like something happens, they'll be able to identify that themselves and act on it accordingly based on what they've learned and what they understand. Right. I'm just going to mute myself now. I think I'm done with the question, I hope.
Yeah. Now, here's a question from a parent. Of course, it's also not addressed to anybody, but is it okay? Tell me your views, Jay. Is it okay to push our kids a bit more to get them comfortable to learning social situations, etc.? What is your views on them? Did your parents ever?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So something that there's a lot of struggle with is there's a term for this, not just analogies, there's another term for this, turn of a phrase, like the cat's out of the bag, for example, right? Things I can't remember what that's called. It's not just an analogy, it's also called metaphor, that's the one. Sorry. But metaphors are something that is something that a lot of children on the spectrum typically struggle with a lot. At least in my case, I used to take a lot of things extremely literally. I still take things literally. Like during Apni Shala, my teacher was just trying to get everyone in the mood, like, oh, come on, we can do this. If we aren't going to perform, then we may as well tell our parents not to come. So I literally just called up my mom and told her not to come, because I didn't realize that this was just yeah, so metaphors are things that my dad kind of pushed me into. He would use them all the time for things that they didn't need to be used for, but he would use them all of the time. And eventually I got more and more comfortable with it. I wasn't comfortable with it to begin with. And there were a lot of situations like that I was pushed into. Like, Jai, I know you're going to struggle with asking this person for these things, but I want you to place this order. I want you to go up and talk to this person, place this order. So like, say you go to a restaurant, have them have a general idea of what you want to get, and then have them place the order. For as an example, or you're going to a library, have them ask for the specific style of books that they want. Like, give that freedom for them to explore them, like for them to try, and it's okay if they fail, because that's the entire point, right? Childhood is all about learning through trying and potentially failing, but that's okay because we get to learn from it. So yes, push your children a bit, but to a limit. Like if you feel like your child is having a lot of difficulty to the point that there's going to be like they're about to have a blowout or something of that nature, then okay, fine, back off, let them have some space. Also, a good thing that helps with this is if you have talked to them beforehand about what it is when they're feeling too overwhelmed. Like, okay, when you start feeling overwhelmed, when you start feeling very overwhelmed, then, and they are able to understand and tell you that, okay, I'm feeling a lot of things right now. I'm not sure how to deal with it. I'd like to not do this. Respect that and give them their space then. But yeah, in general, do what you can to push. If they tell you they can't handle it, fine. But otherwise, let them keep trying, and that becomes learning.
I agree with you. I really agree with you.
Absolutely.
That parents, right, Babita?
Yeah, absolutely. Viraj or Jatin or Nehal, do you all want to add to anything from your own personal experiences?
Nothing.
Yes, Nehal?
Nothing. I don't want to add. I'm fine.
Okay, that's fine. Jatin, you have anything
No,
to add?
I don't really think I can add anything more. Jay has already done.
No, I mean, you can speak from your own personal experience.
Yeah, but I know, but I don't think I really have anything more to add to like what Jay has already said.
Viraj?
Actually, I also don't have anything to add as of now.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess.
I think we are through with the questions. Any more, Priyanka,
Yeah.
left anywhere? I think so not.
No, I think that's it.
That's it. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for being on this talk today. It was really inspiring, and I'm sure parents have really given good comments in the chat box to each one of you. You all have been a real inspiration, isn't it, Babita?
Absolutely. And it's
and we really enjoyed conducting this session with you all.
Absolutely. I enjoyed myself totally here.
Thank you so much, Nehal.
Thank you, Nehal. Thank you, Viraj. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you so much.
And
thank you
for sharing your lives with us today. Thank you very much. And wishing all four of you the very best in life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
This was a very nice event. And Jatin, I'm going to have to seriously come to you for some help because I'm still struggling with my math.
Jay, there's one question for you. Somebody is asking whether you had any sensory issues.
Yes, I still have some. I have issues primarily with bright lights. That is one that bothers me. Certain temperatures, or if I'm around a lot of different sounds that can't blend, because it's weird. If I'm around a low noise level, I'm okay. If I'm around a medium high noise level, I have a lot of trouble. And then if I'm around a very, okay, not volume, I mean amount of different sounds coming around me. I want to clarify this. So if I'm hearing like 2 or 3 sounds, I'm all right. If I'm hearing about 5 or 6 or 7 sounds, I have trouble. And then if I'm hearing like 10 or 15 sounds, it eventually blurs into white noise. So sound like my brain keeps picking up on them and trying to process them. So it's whether or not I want to. It's kind of annoying, but okay. Bright lights, and those are the main two. I am also low sensitivity to touch, if that helps. What
There's one more.
are self skills or WRT self skills? What else?
With
could you-
respect to self skills. WRT is with respect to.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I struggle with a few of these. With respect to self skills. Can you talk a bit? Self skills. Could you elaborate a little bit more? Because when I think of self skills, I'm thinking of a lot of different aspects. Like my self social skills is one thing. My skills in what I do for work or what I do as a hobby. Like I just would like to understand what self skills means to you. That way I can better answer your question. Because I don't fully understand what self skills means to you.
Maybe the parent can unmute herself and ask the question directly.
But we don't know the attendee.
Anonymous
It's an
attendee.
anonymous attendee,
Oh,
so we don't
anonymous.
know the parents, so we don't know how we can unmute anybody.
Could you quickly
Type it, please.
Yeah,
type
type
the
again.
question, please?
And I'm sorry if I've not been able to answer that with regards to self skills, because it feels like it's something that's really vast and I don't want to. Okay, daily living creative skills. Daily living. So then I'm going to talk amongst my fellow panelists with daily living, and we all have completely different creative skills, but daily living skills, we each have to, it's mostly interaction. I feel like the vast majority of daily living skills is how we interact with those around us, pretty much, right? So for me, my skills in interaction or my self skills with interaction was something that I would focus on, because what I noticed is, well, it's very obvious. We all live in a very connected world. We literally can't do anything without needing to talk to somebody else about it or communicate with somebody else. It's like the most essential part. And so with regards to self skills, I'm guessing you mean something that what has to be improved first? Is that what you mean? Because all I can really say is it's important, but I'm still struggling with the question here, guys.
I think
anybody
let it
else?
be, Jay.
Yeah.
Babita ma'am and Vahbiz ma'am, the question parents are asking are to generalize,
Yes, I
about
think so.
anxiety
Yes, I agree
and all
with you,
the things.
Priyanka. Yeah,
So
I
we
think
can wrap up the event, I
yes.
guess.
Yeah. And I'll
True,
just
true.
mention one other thing, because a few parents are posting questions regarding their child, like with specific social skill or anxiety. The thing is, a lot of these are very different, like they're very vast, because the
Correct.
spectrum is not something that we can isolate down to just a few small points.
Right.
So they may be feeling anxiety about something that isn't necessarily spectrum related also. It could be a completely different form of anxiety. It could be for performance anxiety, for example, for exams, or as an example. So this is not a question that I can give you a definitive answer for. This thing is too vast for me to give you an answer and you can be like, okay, I can use this. It'll just give you more confusion in the end. And I don't want to do that. I understand all of our lives are confused enough as it is. So for any specific thing related to your child, it might be a little hard. You can message and I'll try to talk to you a little bit, but I don't think I'll be able to give you a definitive answer. Or any of us for that matter.
Fair enough, Jay.
Yeah.
Fair.
I think some parents want to connect with them. So we've asked them to post their questions to the Forum for Autism and we will forward it to the panelists as such. Okay, Babita?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Yeah. Right.
So I think we
Yeah,
can
we
wrap
can wrap
up
up.
this
Yeah.
wonderful session that we've had. It doesn't, I mean, I don't feel like getting out, but I know everybody has their own things to do later in the evening. So thank you guys once more. Thank you very much and have a lovely evening and a wonderful night. Thank you.
Thank
audience.
you.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank
Thank you,
Thank
Neil.
you, audience, for
Thanks.
being so wonderful and
Thank you.
so appreciative of the panelists. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.